The following episode was recorded live on Radio Row at IT Nation Secure in Orlando, Florida. A special thank you goes out to our partners, LionGuard, BVOIP, and TrueGrid, for making this trip and coverage possible.
Hello, friends. Uncle Marv here, back for day 2 of IT Nation Secure here in Orlando, Florida. And we're starting off the day with a new vendor to the space, a gentleman that, we've connected on LinkedIn a while back, but we finally met in person here. I'm talking about Nathan Ostrowski of Petra Security. Nathan, welcome to the show.
Howdy, Marv. Good to be here. Can I say you have the best podcaster voice?
You can say that. People may not believe it, but you can say it. So let me first ask, how are you enjoying Orlando? How's the weather?
I think I opened the joke when we first met that I spend more time in Orlando than I do visiting my own family. Yep. That is absolutely true. I love this place. Don't get me
nice.
wrong. And live alligators in the hotel is wild.
Yep, that's a thing here.
Yeah.
So let me get a couple of quick bio things out of the way that I saw, because it's funny. Yes, I saw, you're the co-founder of Petra Security. I know all of that stuff. But what stood out to me, a graduate of Duke University. So I don't want to try to get into the time frame of which you graduated, but for some reason, so first of all, I attended grad school in the town of Wake Forest.
Okay.
So I'm very familiar with NC State. I worked security at BASF, which is right down the street from Duke.
Yeah.
So I've walked in and I've seen the Duke Gardens and all of that stuff.
Oh, my God.
Big basketball fan of Duke. Coach K.
You are?
Yes.
Oh, that's delightful. I was expecting you to be exactly the opposite. I was coming in here ready for... Okay, that's awesome. That's great. Good to hear.
I am a Coach K fan. I am a Duke fan.
Wow, great.
I wouldn't say necessarily a Christian Laettner fan.
Who is? If you find somebody who is, I'll show you a liar.
But Grant Hill is fine. Grayson Allen.
Okay, yeah. You're naming the villains. Let's focus on Cooper Flagg. Exactly.
Well, Cooper Flagg, who should be the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah. We'll see.
It'll be interesting. They came up a little short this year.
I love the Duke basketball team. I feel like I don't make time for a lot of media outside of work. I make time for Duke basketball. Yeah. I really, really do. And I was watching that game surrounded by friends who all went to Duke as well. We were just yelling and shouting because it was like 5 minutes left and we could tell the game was turning. They were still like 10, 12 points ahead.
Yeah.
And we could just tell, we could feel it. It's like the team, they wanted it more.
It was
crazy.
It was almost as if Duke was like, hey, what's going on here? We're not supposed to have
win,
this pushback.
Oh, they were up by 20 points.
They were. It was something. Now, let me ask you this. And again, not a tech question, but Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Yes.
Feels on TV like it would be an absolutely crazy place to be. You can't hear the person next to you. From somebody who's been there, is that true?
So one thing I really like about conferences is this feeling of energy in person with people. And honestly, I have never had more of that energy than when I'm in Cameron. Okay. Because you're surrounded by so many people. Everybody is painted up head to toe, and people are just jumping and shouting, and they're the most excited they've ever. Have you heard of tenting, out of curiosity? Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay. Very quick tangent. Tenting is when Duke kids will tent outside of the basketball stadium to get tickets for the one big rivalry game against UNC.
Okay.
And do you know how long they tent for?
Oh, don't tell me it's more than 72 hours.
It is more than 72 hours.
Get out.
What would you guess?
Okay, now I'm thinking a week.
It is longer. It's up to 2 months.
No way.
2 months.
Get out.
I am dead serious. It's what's called black tenting. And there's like black tenting, blue tenting, white tenting. It's different amounts of...
There's technology now. They can do it online.
So, for example, I did the full 2 months of tenting twice when I was at Duke. And again, you are out there 6 nights a week out of 7. 6 out of 12 people have to be in that tent at all times. 11 out of 12 have to be there at night.
Oh, we're talking big tents.
Big tents.
You can't come in with the little Boy Scout 2-man
You can also do
tent.
that. You can also do that. But it is a full shanty tent. And you know what's crazy? There are so many people who want to tent. There's only about 1,000 spots of people who can.
So you got to get on a waiting list to tent?
Well,
to wait for tickets?
You take a trivia test for Duke basketball history. And what happens is that you start studying in like November to take a trivia test in January to be able to tent for 2 months to go to this single basketball game.
Oh, that's just ridiculous.
And the energy at that game is insane.
That is ridiculous.
It's insane.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, we're going to have to talk more about Duke basketball at a later time.
I could go off on it forever.
Let's talk about Petra Security.
Happy to.
And I'll be honest, had not heard of you guys before, but there's a reason why.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're new as of last October.
That's correct.
And this is the first official conference that you guys are at?
That's correct. That's correct.
All right. And I know it's a security product, but I'll let you explain it so that I don't butcher it. So.
Oh, absolutely. So we're definitely new to this channel. We signed on our first MSP customer in, I want to say, October of last year or something like that.
Okay.
And I think we're at around 40 to 45 now. It's been fast. And this is our first conference we're sponsoring. We're at about 6 in the next 2 months.
Okay.
So we'll definitely be on the road.
All right.
What we do is we detect Microsoft account compromises. When somebody gets hacked, when somebody gets phished.
Business email compromise.
Exactly. Now, it is about 80% of all cyber attacks today, and they're rising about 300% year over year.
Right.
Most of the time today, it's somebody using what's called a phishing as a service toolkit, bought online from somebody in Russia to do this easier and faster. I'll say off the bat, we're not for every MSP. We're for the folks who deal with these all the time.
Well, that's not a good selling point there, Nathan.
Well, I mean, honestly, I want to come out and say it off the bat. Like, there are a lot of folks who also tackle this problem. Right? Huntress has a solution. Blackpoint has a solution. What makes us different is that we are laser focused on this problem. And being laser focused on this problem, we've made some different strategic decisions. For instance, instead of just looking at logins, which can be delayed and they're just about 2% of all activity, we look at everything. There's tons of data hiding out in Exchange, SharePoint, and Teams. And oftentimes, too, those logins can be delayed a couple hours. What's happening in Exchange and SharePoint will come in like 2 minutes. So if you want to catch an attack, you can catch it way faster if you're looking at that data.
Okay.
And because we're just ingesting that data, we can do all kinds of statistics and machine learning on top. A big part of what makes us different is that large-scale machine learning to detect things like, for instance, is this a VPN we've seen on a mobile device for this user or for this tenant prior? And help us differentiate. Like, I'm sure most MSPs have heard the word impossible travel. It is terrible. It is most of a SOC team's tickets. It is the way that most people get popped, so they can't afford to not focus on it.
Right.
But if they do, they get bogged down in these details all the time. Impossible travel, VPN alerts, etc. What we do is build technology to reduce those radically by ingesting more data and doing more correlation deeper for every user.
Okay, so I like the fact that you're talking about being laser focused. I like the fact that you're, just simply, I don't want to say staying in your lane because you haven't really developed your lane yet, but I do want to ask, people have been doing this for the last several years is doubling down on 365 security, and you guys just started last year. I'm going to ask, what was the motivation and what was the thought process that you could step in now and compete with all those names you mentioned?
Well, to tell you the truth, it's a different skill set. In EDR land, when a ransomware comes in, it's a binary.
Right.
And you've got to have a systems security perspective to reverse engineer that binary to understand what's going on. Here, it's about signals processing over hundreds of thousands, millions of data points. And so it's a large-scale machine learning problem. The team we put together is all large-scale machine learning engineers, a lot of them from research at Duke. And it's a whole different skill set to tackle that
Duke
problem.
is Duke?
No, actually. And honestly, by applying that technology, we were able to get more effective in those solutions really quickly.
Okay. And are we talking just 365 for now?
Just 365.
Okay.
In fact, I have an offer I started giving out to people a few months ago that I will give them $500 for every false positive that I send them. I have given it out twice.
Oh, every false positive.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we've caught more than 200 or so account compromises at this point.
Okay. Well, that's a whole interesting conversation because we get a lot of them. So, I mean, I don't want to ask too much about the technical nature of it, but
who wouldn't?
How is it that you're trying to say that you're going to do, if you're talking only 200 false positives in the last 6 months, how is that possible?
Less than. I've only given out, I've made that offer to almost everybody we work with.
Right.
I've only given that out twice.
Oh, you've only given it twice?
We've detected more than 200 of these account compromises in that time.
All right. So let me ask this then. How are
Yes,
you
please.
ingesting data? I mean, are we talking about an agent? Are you integrating with any of the other packages, for instance, our RMM, so that it can be a part of what we deployed or workstations, or is it completely cloud-based?
Completely cloud-based. It's an enterprise app. I mean, you've seen these before. It's a one-click approve, and then it is live.
Okay.
24 hours later, it is actively ingesting. What's cool, too, is that we can grab a bunch of back history, 6 months of back history, regardless of the licensing for a client, for a tenant, and use all of that, too, to make really deep baselines so that it is ready to go almost instantly.
Regardless of licensing.
Regardless
so
of
are you
licensing.
saying that
No
they
whitelisting,
don't have
no
to be
VPN list,
365
nothing.
premium? You can do that with Exchange Plan 1s?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
And the best part is we don't allow you to tune the system. There's
Really?
no whitelists. There's no travel advisories. Nothing.
No conditional access modifications?
Well, after somebody gets popped, we do suggest ways that you can beef up your conditional access to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Okay. Because that's the biggest thing I do is we lock down that conditional access.
Yep.
And if somebody
As you
forgets
should, absolutely.
if somebody forgets, hey, I'm going to Canada, you should have told us.
Yeah, fair.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Now
Please.
that you're here at your first conference, you were a part of another company.
I was.
Octane. Was that in the MSP space or was that in the security space? Where was that?
It was in the security space.
Okay.
It was very much a machine learning company.
Right.
We were building machine learning models to find vulnerabilities in code.
Okay.
Also a large-scale problem, finding the little bugs in a system that will lead to people stealing money from whoever is running the system.
Right. Now, was that also part of the MSP space, or was it separate and you're now dipping your toes into our space?
It was separate. I'm just getting into the MSP space.
All right.
Honestly, the biggest thing that has been surprising to me is that it feels like the number one problem everybody has is conveying value to their customers.
Yes.
Is reporting in some capacity. And yet, there's so little great reporting in this space. I went through a period of time where I looked at every report I could get my hands on from every vendor I could find, and nothing felt visually compelling or interesting or, an executive summary that if I were a client, I would feel like I understand. And so we spent a ton of time making the absolute best executive summaries we can, making all the information about what happened in account compromise, step-by-step timelines, super visual and compelling and engaging, so that it all automatically generated, so that you have to spend no time on it.
Okay, so we'll have to definitely get more information on that. Of course, people can go by the booth if they're here, but for people that are not here at IT Nation and are listening after the fact, of course, we'll have your information there. But tell me about getting started, how long of a trial period, or is there a trial period, blah. I'll let you deal with pricing individually and stuff,
of
but
course.
tell me how does somebody get started?
So we do POCs, bake-offs, for anybody who was interested. We've never lost one of these so far.
A bake-off or a POC?
A bake-off.
Okay.
But one of the offers we're running now for IT and Secure and PAX 8 Beyond the next 2 weeks is that if you contact us, one really unique thing we can do is look back 6 months and pull all the history for an account compromise, regardless of whether or not we were on at that time.
Right.
And we can do that to see every file that was accessed, every email that was accessed, how they got popped, the phish email, and pull the whole thing together automatically and give you this whole report of what happened. And that, more than any other way to see the system, is how to see the full power of the system. And the thing we're running right now is that we'll do one of those for free for a hairy incident that kept your team up, that took your team time to show you the power of it for free.
All right. Sounds interesting, and wish you luck. And so are you also going to be at PAX 8?
Yes, we'll be at PAX 8 Beyond.
I will see you there, and we'll have to chat more.
Man, I'm excited for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Nathan Ostrowski, Petra Security, new to the channel, but coming in with a single laser-focused attack.
Coming in hot.
For our 365 protection. Nice to meet you, Nathan.
Nice to meet you, too. And thanks for working in some Duke basketball. That's all I can ask for. That's all I can ask for.
We're going to work in some more, for sure.
I'm happy to.
All right, that's going to do it, folks. We'll be back with more here from IT Nation Secure. We'll see you soon. Holla.